I am Michelle Rubin, and I'm an Access Missouri board member. And of course, I want to thank everyone for joining tonight. And if you've already given a donation, thank you. And if any that are to come, thank you for those as well, because this is all for abortion access. And of course, I want to thank our hosts and hostesses, Amy, Mark, Cha-Cha, and Chase Rubin for hosting tonight's event in this beautiful home. Also, extra thanks to Cha-Cha, Noah Cohen, and Great for extra help with tonight's event. And thank you to the members of the Access Missouri Board and our Clergy Advisory Board, which is new for us. For all of you that are here tonight, if you could just raise your hands. If you're on a board member or a clergy board member, yeah, thank you. And to all the Access champions, which are just very generous donors. Raise your hand. I think there's also a special star on the name text for that. So Access Missouri recently formed the champions as a way for our community to further advance the support of abortion access in Missouri. And if you'd like to become an Access champion or know more about that, you can ask me, Dana, any board member. You can ask us tonight. You could go online. Also, you could speak to any of us if you are interested in having your own house party, which we've had several of those, which can even just be an informational time with your friends or family, neighbors, which we greatly appreciate, because a lot of it is just spreading the word that we're here and what we're doing. So we want to thank our partner repro groups and representatives of those organizations that are here tonight: Mallory Schwartz, Abortion Access Missouri, Tori Schaefer and Nicole Rainey, the ACLU Missouri, Dr. Colleen McNicholas and Vanessa Wellberry from Planned Parenthood for our St. Louis region. And then lastly, I want to thank our incredible elected officials and candidates. That's really who we're here for and who we want to see more of, who took time out of their busy schedules to join us. So we have the Honorable Jill Shute, Representative LaDonna Applebaum, Representative Ian Mackey, and Access Missouri already endorsed candidates, Senator Doug Beck, who's running for his second term in the Senate District 1 in South St. Louis County. Access Missouri endorsed candidate Stephen Weber. Thank you. I know he drove in from Jeff City, who's running to flip a Senate seat in Boone County in Columbia. Oh, excuse me, Columbia. I'm sorry. I got the wrong city. Maybe I think you were in Jeff City, you told me. And former Access Missouri board member and Senate candidate Joe Peerless, one of our board members, who's running to flip a Senate seat in West St. Louis County. Also, Ladue School board member Peter Garibdi, if I pronounced your name right. It's close. Thanks. Thanks for being here. If there's anyone I missed, just like also raise your hand. I'm sorry if we just didn't know that you were coming. So I encourage everyone to visit all of the candidates after the event, because they are all strong leaders and they're all reproductive access champions. And so now I want to specifically introduce Rabbi Susan Talby. She is a fierce and powerful advocate for reproductive health care and reproductive justice in Missouri. And Rabbi Talby is also a member of the newly formed Access Missouri Clergy Advisory Board. And you're going to start our program off with a Divine Torah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the talk here, son. Thank you.
Thank you for this beautiful home, and thank you for showing up. Doesn't this give you hope? You know, Moses in the one of the Torah portions this week, Moses goes to the people. They don't go to him; they go to the people. I think that's a good sign for us. We're going to go to the people, and we're going to change things. So, the portion of this week starts attendance of me. You are standing here, all of you. From your judges and your leaders to your wives and your children and even the strangers in your camp, like the laborers who draw your water and cut your wood. All of you are here to make a covenant, an agreement with God that you will be part of the solution to the suffering and not part of the problem. All of you are here to agree to promise to love each other as you are loved by the God that redeemed you and freed you from the awful bondage of slavery. And all of you are here to promise to never do to others what was done to you when you were slaves in Egypt. In this portion, we all inherit a legacy that chooses us and shapes our identity as Jews, as people of faith, and our purpose as human beings. I love this portion for its message, but I also love it for its problems. And there are many problems in this story. Because, am I doing something wrong? Maybe make it a little lower. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so what's the problem in the portion? The you in the you are standing here are the men who are telling the story. All the others mentioned are in relationship to the ones creating the narrative. And we know how dangerous, how limiting this can be, for it allows the ones telling the story to choose self-interest over the common good. It allows for small power groups to impose their will on the majority. And at the very worst, we know how this can allow some to dehumanize others. And today we are here in this space and time because stealing the narrative, calling anti-abortion pro-life, for example, has allowed for some to dare to control the bodies of others. But we know better. And over the generations, we have grown a narrative that includes all who are named and even the unnamed, and build in respect and justice for women and the marginalized. Adding our voices, expanding the tradition is also what it means to be a Jew. As a people who stood at Sinai and learned, as the Torah tells us, to see the sounds, as a people who came out of the desert wilderness that belonged to no one and so imagined a universal God, as a people who were strangers and learned to know the heart of a stranger, as a people who felt the swords of the Crusades, the fires of the Inquisition, and the horrors of the Holocaust, and the legacy of American slavery, we have inherited much trauma and many cultural scars. But we have to have hope that the inheritance that imprints the very core of our beings can also make us more sensitive to the suffering of others. You have heard and read about our commitment to choice. There is no doubt where we as Jews stand on our right to choose an abortion if we believe it is the right choice for any pregnant person that for every reason decides that it is not right for themselves or for the fetus. Jewish tradition and many traditions support this without a doubt. We've been having this conversation since the times of the Torah, and there were many times throughout our history when we have had to take a stand. One of the most compelling moments in the long story of our fight for women's choice, for autonomy over our own bodies, came in 1974, when a Jewish woman, a Holocaust survivor who became the Minister of Health in France, taught us how to walk this path. Simone Weil, human being, survivor, Jewish woman, feminist and conservative. Only she could have given a talk that changed hearts and minds and made abortion legal in France. How many people know this story? Oh, so yes, such a great story. So as a human being, she showed empathy for those less fortunate. As a survivor, she was among those survivors who saw the absolute banality of evil firsthand and still chose life and meaning. And as a Jewish woman, she drew upon the many principles we use today to defend abortion. And as a feminist, she fought for bodily autonomy of people with uteruses to make their own decisions. And here's the kicker. As a conservative, she knew just how to talk to a room full of men and what issues those particular men had concerns about. Her speech, if you want to read it, is brilliant. I'm going to mention 3 things that turned the tide in France and made abortion legal. The first thing, here's what she wrote. The situation is wrong because the law is openly flouted. And even worse, the law is ridiculed. When the discrepancy between the number of crimes committed and the number of crimes prosecuted reveals that there is no longer any enforcement of the law to speak of, citizens' respect for the law, and consequently, the state's authority is called into question. Oh, the men did not like hearing that the law that wasn't being followed was making a mockery of their legal system. That got their attention. Second, they were concerned, and she knew they were concerned with declining birth rates of the nation. And so she said, you know, it would be foolish to seek out simple causes for such a broad phenomenon. A national level explanation would fall short, as this trend is a fact of civilization, reflective of our current era, and moreover, driven by complex forces we struggle to comprehend. You know, she really brought them in to this argument. She said, there is no way that we can make a clear correlation between a modification of abortion legislation and a change in birth rates, and especially fertility rates. So she won 2 for 2. But the third one, I think, is most compelling. When you read her speech, it's hard not to listen to this brilliant woman who we knew, who we know, and they knew, saw and experienced the worst of human indignities. Think about this woman for a moment. Head shaved. Horrors like we can not even imagine. Suffered the most indignities that a human being can suffer. And yet, the undercurrent for her and for us is fighting for dignity, as well as for the lives of people who have the ability to bear children with their bodies that are being used today for political gain. Simone Weil would have none of that in 1974. Everyone in this room, all of you who are here, and the reason that we believe we can win this fight, we know that the true test of laws is not theoretical. It is their impact, and we know the impact of restricting safe and legal and affordable access makes a difference, saves lives. Defending abortion is about our broadest ethical and spiritual obligations, and people who are denied access to reproductive health care are more likely to live in poverty and to remain in abusive relationships as a result of that denied care. We're seeing that today. She said, we must not remain idle while barriers to health care place any individual's health, well-being, autonomy, or economic security at risk. So she said, I am asking you to change the existing law so that ultimately the final decision is only made by the person who is pregnant. The cruel suffering and deaths caused by limited access and funds for life-saving reproductive health care and abortions will only continue to grow unless we act, like Simone Weil did, and find ways to make an argument that will change hearts and minds. She knew what to say, looking at our legislators, you know, because you've got a hard job. Oh my gosh, look at the people you've got to talk to. Change their hearts and minds. She did it. We can do it. I believe that. Because in the very end of the portion, there's a promise of hope. A promise that says that what is being asked of us is not too hard. It's not beyond our reach. It is right here for us to choose the blessing, to choose to do what is right, to walk in high and holy ways, no matter what challenges us from within and without, and to love more, that we and our seed, it says, may thrive and increase. Committing to this promise is what it means to be, and be with dignity, what it means to follow the Torah, I believe. And finally, as I said, the second portion this week is Vayelech. Moses is preparing for his death. He tells the people how important it is to remember where they came from and who they are. And then it says, and Moses went. The portion begins. But where did he go? He went to the people. Instead of them coming to him, he goes to them. Ballot initiative. Knowing that they would, that we will do the right thing when we are all given the chance to speak. We know, even here in Missouri, we know the will of the people. I will always be with you, Moses says. No matter how far you go, you will always be able to return. Return to your core values, the things that make you good people. No matter how far you go, no matter how far you stray, how much you forget, you can shuv, you can return. And so to do this, Moses builds in regular reading of the Torah, the story that will remind us and help us remember who we are and what we stand for, and if we are to be true to what it means to be the people that follow the Torah. No, it means we have to stay on this path. Finally, the concept of tshuva, as we enter 10 days left to the new moon of Rosh Hashanah, The concept of tshuva reminds us that we can return again and again to these core values, because tshuva is built into the very fabric of creation, and without tshuva, the world would not work. There would be no inherent meaning, because tshuva builds in hope that things can change. We're not going back to row. We're going to build back, so we're going to make something better. We're going to have something better, something that is more equitable, something that really takes care of people, something that is better, so that we can redeem and be redeemed. Repentance and forgiveness are interwoven with all the images we have of this promise of tshuva, of real transformation. You know, people get mad at Jews because we really believe in changing the world. And some people like the way it is. We know we can always make it better. We know we believe in change. This too is central to being a Jew, knowing in our souls that change for the better is not only possible, it's built into the fabric of creation. Something to look forward to, I hope, in the new year to come. Thanks everybody for sharing.
Thank you, Rabbi Talvi, for those powerful words. And that's why we're here today, to effect change of our laws in Missouri. My name is Dana Samwise, and I'm co-founder and president of the Access Missouri Board. We're here tonight to act for abortion access in Missouri, to raise awareness about Missouri's cruel and inhumane restrictions on reproductive health care, and to raise money to support candidates and initiatives who will restore access in Missouri. The 2024 election cycle is a critical election for abortion rights in Missouri. In 2022, we gained 3 pro-repro seats in the Missouri House and now hold 52 seats, the largest pro-repro caucus we've held in a decade. In 2024, we need to hold on to these seats and gain 3 more seats to break the anti-supermajority of 55 seats in the House. And I'm hopeful that we can do this. We lost 5 seats in 22 by less than 500 votes. We're also focusing on the Missouri Senate. We currently have 10 pro-repro seats, and we need 12 to break the supermajority. And Access Missouri is laser focused on 6 target Senate races to do just that. We need to help Senator Doug Beck, who's here with us tonight, win a second term representing South St. Louis County, help Maggie Nuremberg and Robert Sauls in the KC area hang on to 2 seats that are currently held by pro-repro senators who are turned out, help Stephen Weber in Columbia, who's here with us tonight, former Access Missouri board member Joe Peerless in St. Louis County, who's here with us tonight. And we also have a candidate in St. Charles, and these 3 candidates are going to flip their seats. So, and we are here to help them. These races can be won. Each of these candidates to win needs to raise about $2 million. Their anti-repro opponents will raise this much and more. I've been involved in Missouri politics for a while now, and I've seen the immense amount of wealth on the anti-repro side. But we can do that. We can do the same with all of your help. When you donate to Access Missouri, we strategically work with other repro groups in Missouri so that your investments are spent in a smart, strategic, and collective way to help candidates who are out there doing the work, talking and connecting with voters. We know a majority of Missourians agree with us. We just need to help support the candidates to talk and educate the voters about the choices to make at the polls. Access Missouri has also been keeping an eye on the Right to Reproductive Freedom initiative that were filed with the Missouri Secretary of State last March. If placed on the ballot, Missourians could vote to protect their right to abortion, miscarriage care, and access to contraception. Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, who is supported by, who is supported by the right to life, is the latest Missouri politician to try and interfere in the ballot initiative process. He certified and released misleading, politically motivated ballot summaries. Thankfully, Missourians for Constitutional Freedom and ACLU Missouri are challenging this deceitful language in court. There's a hearing on September 11th, and we're hopeful the court will rule in our favor and provide Missouri voters with a fair and accurate ballot summary. We should know more probably around October when the appeals are complete, if the initiative is going to move forward in 24. Ashcroft's deceitful ballot summary language on other ballot initiatives have been challenged 4 other times in courts, and he's lost all 4 times. So we're hoping to make this number 5. So Access Missouri is just one piece of a puzzle to restore abortion access in Missouri. Dr. Jennifer Smith is here with us tonight to tell us about how she and other healthcare professionals are acting for abortion access in Missouri. Dr. Smith is an OBGYN who has been practicing in Missouri for 20 years. Dr. Smith is a very strong advocate for reproductive health care and co-founder of the Missouri Healthcare Professionals for Reproductive Rights. And I just have to also mention that I got a call from Dr. Smith about an hour ago that she was maybe not going to join us because she had to deliver a child. You said you would maybe not join us or be late because she had to deliver a child, and it was under 45 minutes, I think, that from the time you called till you showed up. Yeah, so pretty amazing. Thank you.
Luckily, I don't wear a lot of makeup, so I can, do it in 2 spotlights and it's done. Good evening, and thank you guys for being here. It's really, really motivating and inspirational to see everybody here to join in the fight for reproductive freedom in Missouri. I appreciate Access Missouri and specifically Dana Sandweiss for having me here tonight to discuss my involvement in this work. So I have to be honest in that, like many others, I've always been interested in politics. I always voted on one issue, this issue, but I wasn't particularly involved. It felt like enough to just talk about it and go to the polls. But other than volunteering at Planned Parenthood, I really didn't do much more than that. And all that changed in 2016, as it did probably for a lot of people, although I look around the room and I see people who've been involved for much, much longer than that. But in 2016, I learned to give my money. I also learned how to knock on doors and host parties and do all the things. And when Roe fell in 2022, I was anxious to figure out how to act. Luckily, I had met Dana. And I had also been fortunate enough to be at some events where I met other people like Mallory and Tori from Abortion Access Missouri and ACLU, who have been thinking about this and planning for this moment for a really long time. Also, we talked a lot about people that we had read about in the paper and heard about on the news in Ohio, and also a smaller group in Nebraska of healthcare providers who had organized in their red states to apply political pressure to bring about reproductive freedom in their states. We actually were very fortunate to have a conversation with the women who started this group in Ohio, and they were incredibly generous with explaining to us their journey and strategies that they used and kind of how they learned to be political along the way, because doctors aren't really generally good at this kind of thing, at least most that I know. I'm actually having another meeting with them tonight. They are in the middle of a fight and they are going in November, and hopefully they will win and motivate people across the country. So a few of us came together in St. Louis, a few other physicians, not OBGYNs, and we wrote a letter to reach out to people and form this group called the Missouri Healthcare Providers for Reproductive Rights. We got people across the state to sign our letter, and our goal is really to influence this discussion from a non-political standpoint, because doctors don't generally fall actually on the very liberal side. It's very, very lonely in the lunchroom. Anyway, but most providers really do believe in this fight. So we are hopeful to use our voices to lend a medical voice. We want to be able to continue to provide the kind of care that our patients need for the health of their bodies, minds, and families. We really hope that the initiative petition process moves forward in our state so we can speak directly to our politicians and to our citizens. We hope to educate and advocate in order to restore and enshrine in our Missouri Constitution the right to care for our patients with dignity and humanity. We're also excited to grow our group and to reach providers across the state. If you or anyone you know is a provider, anywhere from physician to nurse to therapist, pharmacist, social worker, etc., please reach out to me or through our Facebook page or email us. We have a Gmail account, Missouri Healthcare Professionals for Reproductive Rights. We would love to hear from you and love to get your help. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. We're so grateful for you and for all the healthcare professionals in Missouri who are caught up in this cruel political fight in our state. The members of Missouri healthcare professionals steadfastly provide us with healthcare in challenging circumstances and are going an extra mile by advocating to restore access. Thank you, Dr. Smith. And thank you also for everybody for joining us tonight. With your help, we can make meaningful difference and progress in 2024 toward restoring access by making meaningful gains in the Missouri House and Senate. You can donate online. You can grab an envelope we have before you leave. You can visit us at accessmo.today. And also, please be sure to visit with Access Missouri endorsed Senate candidates, Stephen Weber, Senator Doug Beck, and Joe Peerless, who are here with us tonight. Thank you so much.